Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies, and today we're going to talk about the best movies that are currently free to watch on YouTube. So there's an official YouTube channel that has usually around 100 or so movies that you can watch for free at any given time, and they change. Right now we're going to talk about 10 of my absolute favorites as well as a couple of honorable mentions. These do have ads, but it's just the pre-roll ads. You're not going to see any mid-roll ads on these movies, and they're skippable. This is my first time listing YouTube movies on this channel. If you want more videos like this, I need this video to do well, otherwise I'm not going to do another one. So like, comment, share. This video is sponsored by Universal Yums, and later in the video I'll tell you more about how you can benefit from their snack services during quarantine. So my number 10 pick on this list is Over the Top, which is kind of an over-the-top 80s movie with Sylvester Stallone. I really dig the vibe of this movie. While it is a cheesy 80s movie, do not get me wrong, this is not one of Stallone's best. It's about an arm wrestling competition in Las Vegas. He drives this old beat up truck, he's reconnecting with his son. It's coated in cheese, but it's that really great 80s cheese that like only comes out of a can. So while it's far from Rocky, because instead of this epic boxing match, he's just going to arm wrestle in Las Vegas, you sort of get rid of some of the seriousness of this movie, and it's just sort of fun to watch if you want to watch something that's just, again, drenched in that 80s sensibility. If you don't care about that, then this movie does not have a whole lot in the tank for you. CORIOLANUS is a Shakespeare adaptation, and it's a direct adaptation, but it's present day costumes and modern military stuff, but it's all spoken in the traditional Shakespeare iambic pentameter, so very much like the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. This is done with Ralph Fiennes and Gerard Butler, and Fiennes actually directed this as well. It's got a very good look to it. Now steer clear of this one if you don't want to hear people speaking true Shakespeare, but if you like that concept, this one's got a very unique look to it, and it's really well executed. I'm surprised more people didn't really talk about this one back when it came out. If you liked the Romeo and Juliet with DiCaprio and Claire Danes, which is on Netflix right now, by the way, then this one kind of makes like an interesting companion piece to that.
Who is Guy Meat Drapes? What kind of name is that?
It's Madropides, sir. It's Greek.
This says Meat Drapes.
It's actually pronounced Madropides.
Well, why doesn't it sound like that when I say it?
If you're in the mood for something a little more lighthearted, the SLAMMIN Salmon. It's a comedy movie created by the same people behind Super Troopers. They all star in it, and they also did Beer Fest. Those movies are superior to the SLAMMIN Salmon, in my opinion, which is maybe why a lot of you have not heard of it, but there still are a lot of laughs in this one. While I didn't really think this was a fantastic movie, I enjoyed watching these characters. It's kind of like an elongated sketch. It's got a sketch concept, it's just this restaurant and all these waiters competing to win a prize, and it makes for some funny moments. While they're not all glued together like a really great narrative, it's fun enough to watch, especially if you need a little bit of comedic relief in your life right now. Bernie, and no, not that Bernie. In fact, you're gonna actually have to search Bernie movie and find the one with Jack Black, because you're gonna get a ton of Bernie Sanders videos if you just type in Bernie into YouTube. But this is actually directed by Richard Linklater, who's most famous for movies like Dazed and Confused, and this very much has that sensibility. It's a lot of just little like vignettes of talking to people, but this is a true story about a man who had this relationship with a much older woman who just treated him like absolute shit. And he ultimately couldn't take it anymore, and he took matters into his own hands. So this is the famous case. While it does sound like a twist, that is given away to you in the trailers for Bernie. Bernie is much more about Jack Black's portrayal of the character and the different like townsfolk that sort of get roped in and interviewed. Matthew McConaughey has a very small but interesting and fun role in this as well. Like I said, it is a dark comedy. It is about murder, and there's a lot of hateful things said to people in this movie, but it is enjoyable. It's not overly doom and gloom. It's also not the most lighthearted comedy you've ever seen. And then to round out my bottom 5 with a really solid pick, Blown Away stars Tommy Lee Jones and Jeff Bridges. Tommy Lee Jones is this mad bomber, kind of a Unabomber type of a guy, just a terrorist. And Jeff Bridges is an agent trying to bring him down, and he's a bomb expert, and there's some really intense sequences in this one. This is a cool flick, sort of a cat and mouse chase between this terrorist and Jeff Bridges. It's got a good soundtrack to it. It's just a really solid film that sort of has gotten forgotten with time, I think because both of those guys have done so many movies that are so much better than this one, but it's a really great little gem if you've never seen it. Now, before we get to my top 5, Universal Yums sponsored this video, and I've just started partnering with them, and they are an amazing service to partner with this channel because they provide snacks to your door, and not just any snacks. You get your Universal Yum box. Here is mine. This box happened to come from Sweden, and it is loaded with snacks. Tons of stuff. There's chips, there's little gummies, there's chocolate, there's amazing cookies, there's little candies, there's all kinds of stuff in here. It's a small fortune's worth of snacks, and everything was interesting and different. I'd never had anything in this box, and some of the things I absolutely loved and will look for and buy again. But when you sign up using the link in the description below, Universal Yums will send you a new box every month from a different region or country. I cannot wait to get my next box. They come in 3 different sizes with 3 different price points. Again, just check out the link in the description. Me and my wife literally made a whole thing of it when we opened the box. We were gonna watch a movie, we had to pause it, and we made a night of it. It was like having a little date night at home. We have not been able to go out on a date in forever, and the Universal Yums box kind of made a special evening and sort of changed the pace a little bit. We really enjoyed it, and I hope you do as well.
What's the con? We go to St. Petersburg to be our guys in a phony setup who then double-cross us and kill us all. She drives off on the run from imaginary Russians. And we keep her money. How much? $2.5 million.
The Brothers Bloom is my number 5 pick. This is a fun movie. This is actually written and directed by Rian Johnson, whose most recent movie is Knives Out. If you liked that, I think you'll really like The Brothers Bloom as well. Great performances from everybody, but just kind of a fun, quirky movie. There's some heavy moments because it's kind of a caper type of a thing, but it's not an overly heavy movie. While I wouldn't necessarily classify this as like an all-out comedy, it's a great mood booster of a movie during these trying times. It's complicated and it makes you think, and it's a good solid movie that is maybe like one of his weakest ones, not by much. He did Looper, he did Brick, which is a fantastic movie for a debut, and then a lot of people consider him to have ruined Star Wars with The Last Jedi, but his other movies that are not franchise based are a lot of fun, and they're really clever too. The Host is actually directed by the same director of Parasite, which everyone went nuts for last year. I expect you'll see Parasite in an upcoming video, wink wink. But Host came out 10 or more years ago and is a great monster movie. This one is a monster sort of destroying a city, but instead of like a giant Godzilla-sized monster, this one's the size of like a double-decker bus, maybe a little bit bigger. It's big and it's terrifying, but they did such a great job with this movie. The way the monster appears is great, the way it's sort of integrated into the scenes and the way they filmed it where you don't never get a great look at it. You get sort of this panicked, feverish sort of like look at it as everyone's trying to figure out how to escape. And then you get this sort of mystery thing as these people are trying to figure out where it is, what it is, how to kill it. It's just a good sort of classic level monster movie that has really held up over the years. Now, I'm known for horror or mystery movies on this channel, and Cube is a fantastic, classic horror flick that got Saw elements, it's got some torture elements and things because it's about a prisoner who wakes up in this cube and it becomes a game. They have to figure out how to get out of it, and it is loaded with booby traps. The Platform is a popular movie recently released on Netflix, and there are a lot of comparisons between The Platform and Cube. However, I do think Cube is a little bit more accessible, so if you liked The Platform but maybe didn't love parts of it, there's a very good chance you're going to enjoy Cube even more, and there are a handful of sequels to Cube currently available for free on YouTube as well. Ronin, starring Robert De Niro, features one of the best car chases ever made, still to this day. This movie is about 20 years old, and the car chases still hold up. They're very well directed, but in addition to some really amazing car chases, you get this really great crime caper. It's sort of a heist movie at times. There's double crossing, backstabbing. Again, I don't know if I mentioned the car chases or not, but they're really good. And it's not just mindless action. This is a really smart action movie. It's a little more highbrow than most that would go into this category that features so many car chases and explosions and shootouts. It's got this really sort of refined, mature sort of sensibility about it that I've always liked. And just like The Host, it has really held up over the years, and it really is one of the better movies YouTube is offering for free right now. Now, before my number one pick, I've got 3 honorable mentions, so a few bonus picks from this list. One is called The Double. This is actually based on a book by the same title, and that book loosely influenced Fight Club and another movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal that came out the same year as The Double called Enemy. The Double is a more faithful adaptation to the book. It's about a guy who learns that he has this sort of double that exists, and then they sort of play mind games with each other. This one's got this really odd, quirky sensibility to it, which is why it's an honorable mention. It doesn't make the list because it's not for everybody, but if you like art house films, this is a really cool little flick that's very, very clever, almost too clever for its own good at times. But if that sounds like you, definitely check it out. It is a good recommendation, I just don't recommend it for a ton of people. Penelope is a really great romantic comedy, which you don't hear me say very often. That's because this one is very exceptional. It stars Christina Ricci and James McAvoy, and she is a girl with a pig nose. It is a legit pig snout on her nose, and she's from this really wealthy family, and they're trying to set her up with somebody, and it's not going well. And it's just got a really great message to it, and it's got kind of a fun, bright sensibility to it as well. Obviously, there are sad moments, as there are with any romantic comedy, but if you want a good sort of mood booster, something sort of light and fluffy, because you're maybe feeling down in the dumps under quarantine, Penelope is a good pick. Another thing that's just sort of light and easy to watch is The Perfect Bid. So many documentaries are so heavy because of the subject matter they're trying to tackle. This is about a guy who figured out how to win at The Price is Right. If you want to watch something that'll let you turn your brain off a little bit, that you can just enjoy for 90 minutes, The Perfect Bid is a great way to go. It's just not nearly as good as the other movies on this list. Then my number one pick is just this really fantastic movie starring Anthony Hopkins that I have loved for years. I own it. I tell people about it. I recommend this one to almost anybody. I think anybody could really wrap their head around this movie and enjoy it, and it's The World's Fastest Indian. Now, in this movie, he plays Burt Monroe, who is a real man who had this Indian motorcycle that could break land speed records, and he wanted to take it to America to really put it to the test. And so it's this big journey where he meets all these different people. And the really great thing about this movie is this Burt Monroe character is he's really an oddball. He's really goofy and eccentric, but he's super nice. He's happy to meet everybody. He changes people's minds constantly in it. So it's a very positive movie. It's a very uplifting movie. And I love it. Anthony Hopkins is great. The racing scenes are fantastic. And then it's just his character, the Burt Monroe character, is just a lot of fun to watch on screen. So it's a perfect time to watch this one. It's a little long, but you won't even notice because it just moves and there's so much going on in this movie. But that's my top pick of my top 10 picks of the best movies currently available on YouTube. Now, these will not stay on YouTube for free forever. That's why you want to click the subscribe button and that notification bell so that you get notifications when new lists come out, because currently all these are available. Let me know in the comments below what you plan on watching, and help me thank the Patreon supporters in the comments below. They are keeping the channel alive. You may have noticed the background is getting a little bit sparse. That is because we are moving to a new studio very soon. There may only be one more video from this particular spot, and then we will be in a new place that will slowly come together. But I will keep making videos like this as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking out this episode, and you will see me on the next one.